Awesome. So this is going to be actually a multi-series series of episodes. We're gonna break up Vans because they're such a just a iconic brand, and they just have such an expansive trademark portfolio that it makes a lot more sense to break up their portfolio, their deep dive into multiple episodes. So today we're going to focus on footwear. And to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how you can find all of Vans trademarks. And we're going to talk about a few of them, some of them that I think are of particular interest. And what we're going to learn is that they have a lot of three-dimensional configuration marks. Let me, first things first, let me share my screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you guys can use tsdr.uspto.gov in order to identify trademarks that might be of interest to you. And again, you can apply the same, what I'm showing you guys in this video, you can apply really to any company that you're interested in researching. So all you do is go to tsdr.uspto.gov. This is the starting place. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see it nice and clearly. When you're here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to search trademarks and then basic word mark search. And once you're here, I'm going to do an advanced search today. So I'm going to click on the freeform button up top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Vans. Now, I know I did some prior research. I read about Vans, and so I know that their company is called Vans Inc. And then I'm going to search for footwear. Thanks for the banners, Victoria. I really appreciate that. I think our viewers appreciate that too. Now, just so you guys, if you guys aren't familiar with this format, so the way this search works is basically OW and GS. These are search codes. These are field codes. And if you're not sure about what they mean, you can go down and actually read about them. So if you go down, you'll see GS, it stands for goods and services. OW stands for owner. It's right here, owner name. So if you guys are curious about a particular company, you would just put the owner name, you would just put the company that you're interested in here. Now, we're going to focus again this episode just on footwear because Vans has such an extensive portfolio and we can learn a lot by looking at each segment. So I'm going to do clothing tomorrow and then skate parks on Wednesday. Believe it or not, they have trademarks on their actual skate parks. So again, Vans is a really, really cool company to study because they're really creative on how they use trademarks to protect their brand. So let's do the search here. I'm going to focus just on footwear. And in particular, I also want to focus this episode actually around three-dimensional configuration marks. So the first mark that we're going to see here, this is an intent to use mark. And what you're going to see, if you look at this mark closely, what you're going to notice is that this is actually a label. So this is a label that's going to go on clothing. So specifically shoes. So I'm going to open this in a new tab just so you guys can see it nice and large. So this, if you can see, these are labels. So this is the front of the label. This is the back of the label. And you can see this is what's actually stitched to the shoe itself. So this is, of course, the iconic checkered pattern of Vans. Very, very famous brand. The checkered pattern is often associated with it. And so what we're going to see is we're going to see a lot of trademarks that have that checkered pattern. So let's go back. Let's take a look at some of these. Now, this is a 1B application, so we're not going to be able to see a specimen. But as you can see, they have a lot of designs and logos. Now, what I'm particularly interested in focusing on in this episode, though, is I'm interested in focusing on their three-dimensional configuration marks. Now, again, this mark is covering bags under class 18, but then also clothing under 25, clothing and shoes under 25. Now, again, let's get right into it. So this is a three-dimensional configuration mark. So this is actually covering the checker design that's on the side of the shoe. So if we, and this is a 1A application, so we'll actually be able to see the specimen. So let's take a look. So this is the specimen that was submitted. Now, this is a relatively recent application. This was submitted back in July. Now I'm zoomed out, so it's kind of hard for you guys to see. But if I zoom out, so there you go. So this is the shoe here. As you can see, it has a checkered pattern along the side. Let's go back. Let's see what other interesting shoes we can find. Now this one doesn't necessarily, you don't see the checkered pattern. But this is what they're protecting is the actual panels. So these are the panels and the lines of stitching. So basically it's the stitching in the panels. That's what's being protected with this particular mark. I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see it a little more clearly. And then let's just take a look at the specimen that was submitted. Now, this is also a relatively recent mark. This was submitted in March of last year. As you can see, here are the panels and the stitching. So this trademark is actually covering the stitching on the shoe itself. And fans found it sufficiently distinctive to file a trademark application on it. Okay, now these next sets of shoes, these all have this iconic checkered pattern, right? So this one has it on the side of the shoe, as you can see here. Now we're going to go into it. Let's take a look. And if we zoom in, you can see this checkered pattern along here. And then we can also actually look at the specimen as well. And there you have it right there. So there's the checkered pattern. Here's a trademark, and here's the actual shoe that, as you can see. Let's look at some other shoes. So this is the same shoe with a checkered pattern. This one here, let's take a look at this. So this is a sandal. Oh, whoops, I hit image in a new window. Let me do image in a new tab so you guys can see that clearly. So there you have it. And then out of curiosity, let's take a look at the specimen. Oh, here you go. So they're the actual sandals. All right. So again, now here's a whole series of labels. So as you can see, the off the wall label right here, they actually have a trademark showing it on the back of the shoe. And notice that they're not claiming, sorry, they are claiming red and white as a feature of the mark on a red background. Whoops. And if we go into it, for some reason, this was filed under 1B. So this is also filed under 1B, but you notice the color pattern is actually different slightly. And this one looks like it's just black. They're also claiming black and white as a feature of the mark. Now, let's take a look at some other interesting designs that were trademarked. Now, remember, the reason why these rights are so powerful is that trademarks will last indefinitely. There's no expiration date as long as you continue to use them. So you see a lot of these other marks, keep it comfy, not just one thing, waffle cup, ultimate waffle. And what we're going to see is that the waffle, they're referring to the sole of the shoe. There's actually a trademark on that sole. We'll get to it momentarily. Here it is right here. So here is so this is a three-dimensional configuration of a repeating pattern of stylized waffle design, repeating diamonds on the toe and heel areas of the shoe. So let's take a look at this. This is also a very, very famous source identifier for this particular shoe. This specimen was submitted in 2017, and there you have it. There's a checkerboard pattern on the shoe. So there's the diamonds and there's the waffles. Ah, here's another shoe. So it looks like here they're protecting this, again, the stitching. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can see the actual specimen that was submitted. There you have it. There's the stitching on the side. Actually, I guess that's on the front. So it's on the front. Let's see if there's a better image showing the front. So here's the front. So there's the front stitching on that particular shoe. So again, really, really interesting use of trademark. You can see they protect all aspects of the shoe, the sole, the side panels, the stitching. Let's take a look at this one. So this one looks like they're also protecting more stitching, it looks like. Let's take a look at the specimens. So here's the front stitching right here, as you can see in front right here. Now, let's see what other interesting aspects we can find. So this looks like, again, this is covering footwear, repeating. So this is the waffle design that they're protecting now. In this particular mark, you can see the waffle pattern. And then, as they describe it, it's a combination of, so it's the stylized waffle pattern. Let's take a look at the specimen that was submitted. So this was submitted last year in March. It's kind of hard to see where the waffle is in this particular specimen. Let's see if we can find another specimen. So here it is. Here's the waffle pattern. And here's the side panels. Sorry, the checkered pattern on the side of the shoe right here. Let's take a look at the specimen that they submitted for this one. There you have it. Here's the specimen. You see the checkered pattern on the side of the sole. This looks like another waffle design. Now let's look at this last list. They have a lot of trademarks. I mean, as you can see, 175 just involving footwear. Here are more of their waffle patterns, as you can see here. And then this shoe, this is covering just the checkered pattern, repeated throughout the upper portion of the shoe. Let's take a look at this particular example. Let's see if we can find a specimen that was submitted. So this is relatively old. This is from 2005. As you can see, there's a checkered pattern along with the top of the shoe. Now here is the iconic shoe, probably one of the most famous. So just that one product, right? You can see 3 different trademarks, right? The checkered pattern on top, the waffle sole, and the label on the back of the shoe. So this is why I'm particularly interested in this brand, because they just have so many trademarks, so many applications filed on various aspects of their shoes. Really, really good example. If you guys put footwear out there, you might want to study up on Vans, and you might want to see how Vans protects their shoe designs. Before we wrap the show up, though, I'll show you guys a couple more shoes. This one's kind of interesting in that they're focusing on just the checkered label that's attached to the side of it. Let's take a look at the specimen for this one. Here's the checkered label right here on the side. Oops. And here's the checkered label that's on the back. So again, I hope you guys find this episode helpful. There's a lot of really creative ways that you can protect your clothing items, your shoes, using trademarks. Here's a label on the back you can see. So if you guys put clothing out there or shoes, study up on Vans. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of creative ways that you can use trademarks to protect your brand. In addition to the obvious of logos and word marks, you can also protect your clothing using three-dimensional configuration marks, the looks, the panels, stitching, the soles, all kinds of ways to protect your trademarks. And then, just out of curiosity, let's see if we can find an old Vans mark. So this one looks pretty old. Let's see. Oh, 94. Okay. But as you can see here, their first use in commerce, 1969. So pretty interesting. Very, very old brand. First use 1967. So first use in commerce 1969. So old brand. Hopefully you guys found this episode helpful. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys put out clothing, put out shoes, check out Vans. If you guys have questions about specific items about intellectual property that you want us to discuss or answer, please email Victoria at adibiip.com. The Forced Invasion, thanks for the shout out. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys find this content helpful. We also have a community number. Feel free to text our community number at 415-943-5193, 415-943-5193. Thanks so much for watching.